Hey guys, I'm the 50s Kid. This is an E90 BMW. It's a 2007 335i with the 6 HP 1.9 transmission made by ZF. And I've been having some problems with it. When I bought the car on the drive home, the thing went into limp home mode, and I cannot remember the particular error that came up. I will put it across the screen, but I remember it was related to gear monitoring, and I think it was 5 to 6 or 6 to 5, something like that. So the thing with this, one other thing I should mention is that whenever I put it into gear and I reverse, if I then go into drive, it takes about 2 seconds before it kicks in, which is not normal. Other than that, it drives normally. Now, there's lots of things that could be causing this. Basically, when you do a service on this transmission, which you should be changing the fluid quite often, let's say every 50,000 miles would be good. It's not lifetime fill, even though they say it is. You should change it every 50,000. When you, over time, something called the Mechatronics sleeves will go bad on this transmission. Now, the Mechatronics is just a fancy word for the valve body combined with the electrical stuff for the transmission. And the Mechatronics sleeves are these little plastic sleeves with O-rings on top of them that connect the Mechatronics unit to the body of the transmission and allow the oil to pass between the two. There's 5 different sleeves. They have O-rings on them, and the bigger sleeve tends to crack. That causes issues, and the major issue that causes is harsh shifts from second gear down to first, like when you're slowing down. If you're feeling like a little, little jolt, a little clunk or something, Mechatronics sleeves have gone bad. But other problems can surface. You can get the codes just due to the Mechatronics sleeves, or you could be getting those codes because the solenoids have gone bad on the transmission as well. So because of all of that, and because the fluid on this transmission is particularly expensive, I've opted just to change everything. All the parts that normally go bad, I'm going to change them. We're going to do the sleeves. Mechatronics sleeves are pretty cheap, but we're going to do a whole solenoid kit, which is not as cheap, but I figured it's just good insurance. Get it all done, in and out, one and done. So that's what we're going to do. If you don't have the money for that, you could just get away with changing the Mechatronics sleeves, seeing if that solves your issue, and if it doesn't, then you can go for the valve body kit. Again, it'll cost you more money and fluid, but that might be a good way to go. Now, speaking of fluid, this thing takes a special fluid. You can't just buy the Castrol Transmax multi-import thing or the red one from Valvoline. You can't just, I think it's Valvoline, whatever it is. I think it's Max Life. So the ZF Lifeguard 6 is the fluid for this vehicle, but Febi also makes a version of this fluid, which is number 34608. This fluid is specifically made for this transmission, for the 6 HP series of transmissions. So that's what I'm putting in. It's half the price. It should be good because it's made specifically for this transmission. And I got that at OEMBimmerparts.com, of course, along with all the other parts for this particular job. Anyway, enough yakking. Let's get started. So the transmission filter is built into the transmission pan on this particular vehicle. So when you're changing it, you change the whole pan. I took a look under this vehicle and I can see that the pan is basically brand new. There's no dirt on it or anything like that. So it looks like this transmission was previously serviced somewhat recently. And I kind of feel a little bit bad. I probably didn't have to order this pan, but you know what? Since it's got the filter in it, we're just going to change it. We're just going to do it. Behind door number 2, what do we have? This is the whole kit. Again, ZF original parts for the solenoids, a whole solenoid kit. We're going to swap out all of these solenoids. Comes with some instructions, which are not really that necessary. I got everything from OEMBimmerparts.com. They're sponsoring this vehicle again, just in case you didn't get me the first time. So I got 7 liters of fluid. That should be enough for this vehicle now. I also got the bolts, figuring that the ones on there might kind of strip out when I was doing it. Might not need those. These are the Mechatronics sleeves, along with this sleeve. This is kind of common when there's electronics inside a transmission. The Mercedes transmission we did a couple months ago, same thing. It's a little sleeve with O-rings on it. You change that because, the O-rings go bad over time. This particular thing, see how there's an O-ring here, one here, And then again on the other side. This is the one that likes to crack. I believe the larger area likes to crack. So we're going to inspect and see what's going on with the transmission we have here. I don't know if they changed the Mechatronics sleeves. I don't know what they did. They obviously changed the pan and the filter, but who knows what they did. And then there are 4 other smaller sleeves, and there's going to be like two short ones, a medium one, and a long one. And again, O-rings on these, and we're just going to change those as well. Be interesting to see if the previous person changed any of those when they did the service. Well, now somebody has been peeing on the floor. You're going to want as big and wide of an oil drain pan as you can get, because once you take the transmission pan off, it's going to drip from both the front and back of the transmission, and you're just going to want a wide enough area to capture all those drips. Otherwise, you're going to be cleaning up a mess. I got this 23-quart one at Walmart. Sorry for the interruption, but we have to thank this week's sponsor, which is OEMBimmerparts.com. I love this website. They've got super fast 2-day shipping. They've got multiple warehouses all over the US so they can get your parts out to you as fast as possible. And I love their website. It's well categorized. There's not a lot of extra stuff. It's just all the most popular parts that you're gonna need, and they're the OEM brands. They do also have some quality aftermarket brands as well if that's what you're looking for. So if you are in the market for BMW parts of any kind, please check out OEMBimmerparts.com. All right, so we got to get this this pan off of here, this splash panel. I believe that these fasteners, some of these are not where they're supposed to be. I think the last person who was in here kind of butchered things a little bit, made his own holes, because they're supposed to go there and there. So who knows, man. Let's see, there's one over here. These are all 8 millimeters. Okay. Now there's a little hook here. You just got to turn the pan a little bit, and it'll come right off. Ew, nice and gooey. So I want to show you, like, it's pretty brand new. You can see. I think they might have even. I mean, those bolts look pretty brand new, as if they're not covered by any dirt. So I don't know. I think they might have even used the bolt kit on this one, which is kind of nice. All right, so it looks like we have to get this bracket off because it's just slightly in the way of getting some of these bolts out. So to do that, you don't really have to, but I think I'm going to take this little panel off, just kind of get it out of my way. But you don't have to. Just a couple bolts. Yeah. So I've already been out from under this car 6 times, as I realize I've just forgotten the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. All right, that's gonna work for there. See, this, it won't work for a box wrench, and all I bought was my double-ended box wrench at first, so you can't get that in there. You need an open-ended in order to hold this, so you can get that off. Yeah, so before we even do that, one thing I noticed when I came over to this side is, let me get you a shot of this. Whatever idiot was in here before mangled the crap out of the fill plug. You even see there's a spot on there where he was probably hitting on it with a chisel in order to get it loose. I'm kind of afraid that that's what I'm gonna have to do, because he probably over tightened it as well. So I think I'm absolutely gonna work on that first, because, you know, if you can't do that, then this whole job is kind of moot. In fact, this is always where you want to start. Before you drain a transmission, you always want to get the fill plug loose so you can ensure that you can fill it again. This is a tip for you, by the way. When you need leverage, you use a wrench on your little Allen key. Yeah, this guy. This frickin' moron. Look at that. All right, well, you're able to do it, but now this thing is totally stuck in here, which is the next problem you're gonna have. So I might need to, if I can't get this out of here, now I can get it out. Okay. Hey, not a disaster, but of course I'm gonna replace this bolt before everything goes back together, which means that not all will be done today. That's okay, this ain't my daily driver. However, this is a good lesson you definitely want to inspect this whole thing before you, you know, commit to the job, especially if you're doing it on the weekend and this is your only car. You want to make sure that you're good to go. All right, 13mm open-ended wrench and a E10 socket. All right, we've got another bolt right here. I don't believe you have to support anything. I think, you know, one downside of the Milwaukee high-speed ratchet is that it doesn't have a lot of torque. So you see how I was kind of manually unbolting it there for a second? Just one thing to consider if you're gonna go for that tool. I still love it though. Now, I want to get this bracket off, but the bolt for it is up behind the exhaust a little bit. So you need a 10mm on a swivel. I happen to have this 10mm swivel, but you know, 10mm with a universal joint will work just fine. So you just kind of get at it from right there. Just a little dinky nut. Stupid brackets. You know, I'm already not super impressed with the engineering here. Come on, BMW. So, it was an 8mm for the fill plug, by the way, and it's a 10 for the drain plug. This one should not be very tight. I want to move you guys away just a little bit because I think this thing might splash. Have your paper towels ready. Okay, here we go. There it is. Yes, it was the correct fluid. Someday I will get a place with a big enough garage that I can put a lift in. Oh, right on the face. Yeah, wonderful. Splattering everywhere. Lovely. Why did it have to? All right, that's enough of that. You're really not gonna get all of it out. You don't need to get all of it out. Still going to be so much inside that will not come out. Where's the thingy? Okay, all of these bolts are T40s. So we're going to leave the middle ones on the front and the back on and loose. Well, actually, no, we're not. We're going to leave just the ones on one side, probably the back. Actually, let me think about the way to do this. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to remove all the bolts all the way around. We're going to leave these three back ones loose like this. And what's going to happen there is it's going to let this pan fall down, and then we'll remove the back ones all the way. And the reason we're going to do that is because you want to do this in a controlled fashion. If you just try to remove all the bolts, try to hold the thing up, you're inevitably going to have it tip over, make a huge mess on you. So I always find it's better just to lower one side down a little bit. And what's going to happen there is all the fluid that's still in here is going to, because you can see, like, here's the drain and then it kind of tapers down over here. So there's still a bunch of fluid left in here. So this thing, you know, when it goes down, all the fluid's going to collect over here, might even overflow. But I figure it's best to do it on this side because it's deepest on this side. If you do it on this side, more is going to overflow because it's the shallowest right here. So that's the way I like to do it. So let's get these out. Yeah, these are actually better bolts than the previous generation of ZF transmissions. I don't think I needed the bolt kit. I think these are a lot more reusable. I think I'm gonna leave this center one on tight just for now. Same thing here. That'll prevent everything from falling. I need to move this out of the way so I can get to that other side. Okay, we've just got these two which are loose, and then these center ones are holding it on now. Take this guy out. I will hold it here. Take this one out.
That should leave us ready to come down. Yeah, I was expecting that to just come under its own weight, but it's not. I was a little stuck on because they put a bunch of RTV on it. Lovely. Don't need to do that. Not at all. Okay. Very good. And there's the fluid, obviously, coming out there. Get these a little looser. Just come down a little farther. See that? A lot more draining out. Hopefully we can see that. So I'll just let that drain a little bit. Why RTV and a rubber gasket? I mean, why? The gasket is the gasket. You don't need RTV and rubber. Okay, I would say we're all right here. Not too big of a disaster. Let me get these bolts out. And I will spill this like this. Hey, and we have ourselves a controlled disaster. All right, guys, that is the connector up in there, and there's this little white thing. We got to pull that down, and then you see there's a little arm on that. We need to turn that 90 degrees counterclockwise, and then we should be able to pull the connector out. And since I do not have 3 hands, this is the best shot you get. I'm just gonna reach up there and push that up, and we might need a little screwdriver to help push that up. There we go. Come on, you. What's the holdup? Yeah, something that should be easy is, for some reason, not being easy. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go, finally. Finally, that's all the way out. Okay. And now for the fun part, we get to get this little black connector out of there. I'm gonna use these long needle nose, slip up above the bracket here, grab on it, and hopefully be able to pull it out. Might not get enough grip with these yet. Did I? Oh yeah, I did. Hey, look at that. Okay, that was actually easy. So there we go. This is a part we're replacing. Okay, and finally, we are gonna get this transmission out of here, or the valve body, the Mechatronics unit, out of here. It's all the T40s, which is typical on a ZF transmission. Let's see, I'll use this one to keep it in. So this one, what I do with valve bodies is I take one bolt in the middle and the front and the back, and I leave those a little loose and take the rest of them out. I'm gonna pay attention to the lengths. They should be, hopefully, mostly the same. I'm just guessing. I will tell you if anything's different. And one more right here. There we go. So the reason I did that and I left those 2 on is because more fluid was going to leak. I knew that. So this lets that happen in a controlled manner. It's all about control with these. So all the bolts were the same. All right, let's just go for it. These things are typically heavy, so be prepared. This one actually feels like, oh yeah, I didn't get the ones in the back. Forgot about those. So now I'm gonna be wearing transmission fluid. Actually, why don't I do this? I'm gonna put those back in, help hold things. It'll be a little easier. Okay, these ones are really short. Like that. All right, this is one of those Mechatronics sleeves. And I would say that they did replace these last time. So that's good. At least that shop did something. Although one of the O-rings is, oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so the 4 Mechatronics sleeves over here need to be replaced. I'm just gonna get my pick in here, try to pull them down. There we go. So that is the long one. Trying to see if they replace these. To be honest with you, I'm not sure they did. I mean, I don't know, I haven't done one of these that's brand new, but it really looks like on this one, this is the old one. The new one, the sort of ceiling O-rings, I don't think they are O-rings, but the ceiling area is definitely not as compressed on the new part. I don't know if a new part would have been compressed this much. I don't know. But not knowing, I don't think I can really say for sure. So, whatever. Just gonna lube that up a little bit. Get that in there. They had to have replaced these. I can't believe somebody wouldn't do that, you know? There we go. Okay. Come on. Ah, there it is. Cool. Okay. Those sleeves are replaced. Okay. The instructions that came with show us where the bolts are. There's just 6, 2, 2, and then 2 there. And it's actually easy to figure out which ones they are because they have flat heads, and these other ones are more rounded. So these are T27s. Same length, yes, 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 and yes. All the same length. I think we should flip this over first. All right, let's see how we get this out. I think there are dowels that are stuck in. Yeah, I can tell. Uh-huh. Okay. That is super easy. Remember to note that this thing slides and could come out. Oh, there's a pin there. It won't come out. Okay. That definitely, I remember that is hooked onto the valve for changing for shifting. So we'll have to note that. Now we'll flip this back over. Cool. Now we just need to take off all of these T27s. I'm gonna loosen them a little first. I don't know if this is springy. I don't think it is. Yeah, it's not. Okay. Little lock plate. And we're just gonna replace these one by one. Ooh, let me open this. So I can definitely tell that these were not replaced last time. So we'll just do one color at a time. That's how you tell. Color is quite different, and these would not have discolored so quickly. Yep. Just a little bit of pry action. There's the difference. Yeah, this is the original for sure. Make sure those O-rings are lubed. Snap them in. Looks like they're kind of already pre-greased for us. Make sure you're putting them in the same orientation that you're taking them out. So not like that, like that. Depending on which transmission you're doing, if it's, this is the 6HP19, if you're doing the 26, you might have another solenoid. You might have a wiring loom that you need to replace. It just kind of depends on the transmission. So you want to look into that, look into the correct rebuild kit that you need for your transmission before you start. Make sure you have everything. Okay, we are now ready to go back in. So I was a little confused for a second, had to review the footage, but yeah, there is no bolt right here. It's just these. So these are only 6 Newton meters torque. It's more so just to make sure you don't snap them off. So I will note that the shift valve pops out the back a little bit, so make sure that guy's in place when we put this back on. It's this little peg. This little peg goes in the groove on the shift valve. Okay, so we'll make sure that's in the right place. That goes in there. Looks good. And can we see in there? That's how that goes. Okay, so those two things have to fit together. Now, flip this over. Also 6 Newton meters. This is not a gasketed surface. That's not why we're torquing it. We're just torquing it to make sure that we don't over tighten it and snap the heads of the bolts off. So torque wrench, not critical here. Just, you know, if you get the feel for it, just tight. So out of curiosity, I was just measuring the resistances of all these old solenoids, and these were all like about 5.5 to 5.6. These ones here. This one's about 5.8. Don't know that that would make any difference. I think they're all still within spec, and yeah, I mean that doesn't indicate that that indicates that they are not bad, but we'll see. Hopefully this fixes the problem. Who knows exactly what the problem is? Hopefully it is not an internal problem within the valve body itself, because it is still a valve body. It would need to be rebuilt eventually. It gets, you know, they do get internal wear and everything inside the bores. And I've looked already, and there are replacement, you know, oversized valves, quite a few of them for this particular unit. So, you know, that's always a possibility. I hope that that's not the possibility with this one, though. I hope that this will just fix it. But I do have a valve body rebuilder that I can send it off to if need be. All right, let's get it back on the car. All right, guys, it is the next day. It was getting a little too late last night, so called it quits for the night. First things first, we got to get this new Mechatronics sleeve in there. I think it'll just kind of hold itself up right there. And I've got the valve body in place right underneath. I've got 2 bolts handy, and I have my T40 on my impact, just ready to run some bolts down. Now the most important thing here is this is the parking pole. That's got to line up with the shift lever right here, so, or the shift valve, I should say. So you just kind of spy that, get it lined up there, get it in, there we go. Now we'll stick a bolt here, and one more right here. This valve body actually is one of the lighter ones. I mean, the previous generation was much heavier, the 5 HP. Let's kind of draw this up. Okay, easy enough. Now let's get our other bolts, stick them in. So I just ran everything down really. I'm going to torque these up. The torque is 8 Newton meters. I mean, this is just barely snug. Honestly, who knows if it's even really tight enough, but they say 8 Newton meters, so that's what we're going to do. We're torqued, we're good, we're ready to go back in, except we got to put that black plastic thing in and we got to push this up before we put the pan on. Okay, so we have O-ring here and then 2 O-rings over here. I think I'm just going to put a little transmission fluid on them. Got some in the new pan here. There's a little notch on the inside right here. So that's the key. We got to align the notch. I did not take a second to note where that notch was, so I'm going to guess that it's on the bottom and see if it'll go in that way. And if it won't, then I'm going to turn it. Okay, why don't we assume that it's on top then? Oh, I found it. I think it's on the bottom, actually. I think I just didn't quite have it. So now the trick is knowing if you're all the way in. I gotta get this screwdriver up here and push on it a little from all 4 corners. Feels like I squeezed it in a little bit more. Gotta be careful there, don't want to mangle the connectors. So I'm gonna put my finger there to keep it from sliding off again. Just pushing it on the top and pushing it on the bottom. And I feel that it's seated now. So now I should be able to, I think, push this up. Yes, no. Maybe we can't push that up until we are fully seated. Okay, I think I need to push that thing in just a little bit more. Like it needs to, I thought it was bottomed out before, but it went in further than it ever has. So that means that there's maybe a little more room to go. Ah, there it is. So finally got it in enough, push that closed. So that is as far as it needs to get slipped in. You basically will know it's in there far enough when you can get that white thing in. Okay, now let's get our connector on. Ah, okay, easy enough. That's all snapped in there correctly. That's snapped in. Now we are okay to go to put this thing back on, put our pan back on. Remember to take this cap off of the little tube right there. Lube up this O-ring with some of the fluid and slip this back on. I am going to reuse these bolts because they seem totally fine. They seem brand new. They're not aluminum bolts, so they don't need to be replaced. But they do need to be screwed on. Okay, now I just have a million screws to put in. Okay, yeah, I suggest you keep all the bolts a little bit loose until you've got them all on. So the torque here is 10 Newton meters, and I would suggest that this is the one that's important because you want these to be even. It's a gasket surface. Oh, there was one that I missed right there. See? Oh, and I didn't get that one either. So you never know. All right, I believe we are done with that. Hey guys, welcome to Tool Time. I'm your host, Jason. New tool by Aries, the ATF refill kit. I have refilled transmissions so many times, just all the videos I've done throughout the years. And never once did I buy a real tool to help me do that more easily until now. And I don't know why I waited till now. Honestly, I didn't even realize that this tool existed. I never went looking for it, but it does exist. And I bought this with my own money. This is not sponsored. Hopefully this thing actually works good. So what this is it's a, you put this in, you screw this on, fill it up with ATF, and this is a pump. So you pressurize the thing and you open up the stopcock. This is actually open right now, so we got to close it. But you open up the valve, and that should just automatically put the fluid right into your transmission. And this one actually has adapters of all kinds for all different kinds of transmissions. And I believe we are going to use either this one, number 5, or number 6. I think we're going to end up using number 6. So this was about $125, $130, something like that on Amazon. And there is, somebody else makes the same thing. OEM Tools makes the same one, but they don't have a blow molded case for the adapters. They just have a foam case for the adapters. Not a case, but just a foam thing. And I guess it's meant to sit in a toolbox drawer. But I didn't have space available for that, so I chose to opt for the one with the blow molded case. But it's the exact same tool. So we're going to do this. These are quick connectors, I believe. And let's see how this goes. Are they quick connectors, or does this just tighten down and squeeze it? Probably just squeezes it. Yeah, it squeezes it. Cool, so it does turn, even though it squeezes it. So that should be closed. I just got to snip this. It's really great because that, I don't know if you noticed it, but that had like a little weight that would keep that hose, that tube down at the bottom of the container, so that, you know, you'll get every last drop of everything. Now this thing, this is a 6 liter. And you notice we had 7 liters of fluid, so I'm probably going to have to stop and refill this thing midway through, which kind of blows, but that's how it goes sometimes. So why don't we fill this thing up with fluid? Just a little funnel right there, and we'll fill her up. All right, I got it full of 6 liters. So guys, before we even start filling this thing up, because we have to turn the engine on to fill it up, let's just get everything back into place first. That way, you know, the exhaust won't be hot, any of that stuff. Okay. Okay, looks like this goes in here. Like that. Slip this one in before we tighten that. And then this went up in here. Right about there. We have this little nut. I am not wearing my safety glasses. Should be. Alright, that's about as much as we need. Guys, I was telling myself I would go on my lunch break and get a new one of these, but I forgot. It just didn't work out. Very busy day. So I'm gonna have to just reuse this. There is enough kind of material left inside that I can just snug it up a little bit. It'll be fine, and I will grab a new one this weekend. I don't plan to take the car off the jack stands. I'm just trying to finish the video here. Also want to film another video after this. I'll need it up on the jack stands, so that's how that's going. And yeah, I should be able to grab one on the weekend. All right, I've got my drain pan positioned underneath it, and I got this thing up in place. It's great that you can turn this if you need to. Let me slip this in. Is it in? Yeah, it's in. It's just gonna hang up there. Yeah, great. Okay, now, so my practice is to fill it as much as it can be filled without the car on, and then I will turn the car on, continue filling it. Probably at that point I will stop. I will put the extra liter into the container. Then I will turn the car on, continue filling it, and I will basically fill it until it spills out of there. By that time, the oil should be heated up. I mean, it just kind of needs to be around like 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which, you know, should just feel sort of warm on the pan. So we should be able to tell. Anyway, let's fill. See, I don't want to go too fast. I already see a little spillage. So I'm just gonna angle it in a little bit, make sure it doesn't spill. So now I got it open a little. You know, the one thing you can't see is the fluid going in, because you have no visual indication. So I'm just looking at the bulb, at the tool itself, just looking at the level of the oil. I can see it's dropping, so it's all good. I think we're good like that. And what I'm thinking is that, you know, I only gave it a couple of pumps, so it's probably only going to fill for so long. And then it'll kind of taper off and I'll need to pump it again. So I'm just kind of looking for that. And probably I should, here, I'm gonna close it, pull the tool closer to me so that I can just sort of reach over here and pump it without moving. Yeah. See, by lifting this cable and putting it in front of that tool, I sort of prevent the tool from popping out. I don't think it would, but I just, you know, insurance. Last thing you want is for that thing to pop out on you. And I think also, though, I want to lift it a little and just sort of give the fluid room to escape, because I want to know, like, right when it's full, you know, full before turning the car on. Yeah, so we've got about a liter in there already. A little more than that, probably. Yeah, so I'm not sure if it needs more pumps. I think I'm going to give it some. Okay, it's getting hard to pump it, so I think it's good. I'm gonna open the floodgates here. Yeah, so that quickly put in just another liter. We're down to the 4 liter mark. We started at 6. So that's going pretty fast now. And I'm just watching for when it starts draining, because I just don't want to waste any of this really expensive fluid. We're almost to, well, no, we're below the 4. Super easy way to fill this thing. I don't have to do any work. So it looks like it's slowed down a little, so I'm gonna pump it again. Yeah, so I can feel that there's, you know, room to pump it now. There's no resistance. And now it's hard again, or difficult again. Let's open this up. Almost down to the 3 now. So that really puts the fluid in rapidly. We're past the 3, almost to 2.5. Doing real good. Oh, and I see it starting to leak out. So there we go. All right, now let me open. Okay, I'm going to actually refill the container with the final liter, and then I'm going to open the garage, I'll turn on the car, and we'll finish filling. We are ready. Can I open the door without hitting it? Yes, I can. Let's get this on. And we fill. We're at 3.5 liters left. Down to 2. I think I need to give it some pumps. I'm gonna just leave it on. Kind of down to 1. Hard to pump. And that's about everything, I think. So I was kind of hoping to get all of it in and have it start spitting out, but looks like that's maybe not possible for me. So all I can hope for is that this fluid will start sort of spilling out a little bit as it warms up, as the fluid warms up to about 100 degrees. And if that does not happen, I might be getting an extra liter of this stuff just to make sure I'm completely full. All the kits that I saw online just came with 7 liters of fluid, so that's how many I ordered. But you might need that 1/8. Normally when I fill up these transmissions, or ZF transmissions, I just grab 2 gallons of fluid, which is about 8 liters. Sort of. Is it 8 liters? It might be like 7.5. Is it 3.74 per gallon? Yeah, 7.5. I suppose the proper way to do this would be to have the scan tool out and actually look at the transmission fluid temperature. Which, hey, we can do that. We can totally do that. Now, here's the thing. If I'm gonna, I'm probably gonna stop the car if I'm gonna go do that. And if you stop the car and the fill plug's not in, it's definitely gonna overflow. Because right now, all that fluid's kind of up in the body of the transmission. So you need to get this fill plug on. So another factor is, I could have been looking at one of those packages that's just meant for changing the pan, but not meant for changing the actual, not meant for pulling down the valve body. And when you pull down the valve body, you saw how like a little bit of extra fluid came out there. Plus it was draining overnight for me. So it could just be 7 liters are needed for a simple, filter replacement. But when you pull off the valve body, you might need that extra liter. So that's about as tight as I really need to go or want to go. So I'll go turn the car off. Let me hook the scan tool up. I just kind of want to see if I can get the transmission fluid temperature. All right, guys, we are at oil temperature gearbox 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and we want to be between like 86 and 120, I believe. So we're almost to 90. This actually is taking quite a while. So I don't really see any point in going all the way up there. I really don't think that we have quite enough. So I'm just gonna put this plug back in and I will get another liter. All right, guys, we are back. It is 2 days later. I got some more fluid from OEM Bimmer Parts, and I even got a new fill plug. So let's finish filling this thing up. Here we go. We are pumped up and ready to go. So it should be. I got one of the bottles in there right now. Oh, there it is. See, there we go. Yeah, I mean, that kind of took most of that bottle. I would say that is enough of that. That can stay. And that is it. So I took the car for a drive, and immediately I noticed that it would shift immediately from reverse to drive and back again. So there's a definite improvement with this repair we just did.
However, I noticed some rough shifting when I was out driving around. Particularly like when I was slowing down to a stop, there would be a rough shift from 3 to second and second to first. And when I was on my way back here to the garage, I finally realized, oh yeah, I'm supposed to reset the adaptations. So let me show you how to do that right now. Okay guys, so this is INPA. I obviously can't tell you where to get this software because, you know, it is pirated, but if you just look around on the internet, you will find it. You need a K-DCAN cable. I've got that cable plugged in to the OBD port in a car. I've got the ignition turned on. We are in INPA. You can see that when these circles are black, you know, battery on, ignition on, you know that you're successfully connected. So we're going to choose the E90, which is Shift F2. Shift F2. Now we're going to go to transmission and choose gearbox automatic. It's going to come up with some warnings. And then we are going to go to activate, which is F6. And then reset adaptation values, and we'll hit F3. The adaptations have been cleared. And that is it. You can go back here. You can clear the error memory. We'll just go for F4. And here, let's read the error memory. We got no errors. Let's clear it. F2. Simple as that. And we can go back and end, and that's it. We're all done. So resetting the adaptations is all it needed. Now the thing drives the way it's supposed to. It shifts the way it's supposed to. No more issues, no more problems. Everything is fixed now. It occurs to me that I maybe could have reset the adaptations before I did all this service just to see what was up, just to see if that made any improvements, because that maybe the last shop that did this did not do that. Although you really shouldn't have to reset the adaptations if you haven't changed the solenoid valves. I believe just for doing the Mechatronics sleeves, you shouldn't have to do the adaptations, but it couldn't hurt. It might have improved some of the shifting somewhere, but at any rate, I think we still needed to change the solenoids just because we had that, you know, couple second delay between shifting between reversed and drive. So something kind of wasn't quite right about those solenoids, and they definitely need to be replaced. So anyway, guys, I hope you liked the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. I'm the 50s Kid. Thanks a lot for watching.